Montague County has grown a lot in the last 5 years. We've gone from about a $5.5 million budget to about an $8.6 million budget. And some of that's got to our roads, but we have a lot of responsibilities as commissioners. We're responsible for every dollar that's spent in the county. Every one of our positions within the county, all of the elected officials from Sheriff Paul to Glenda, to Lisa, they all have to put a budget together that we have to approve and approve all those dollars. If one of the other commissioners wants to move $5,000 from diesel to rock, he can't just do it. He has to bring it before the commissioner court. There's not a bill that gets paid that the commissioners don't approve. That's the first thing I do every 2 weeks. We've got the money in these budgets to take care of this stuff. It's grown quite a bit. We have some other obligations on other boards. The Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District, they got some pretty good cash sitting over there. We're one of 4 counties in that deal. It's Montague, Wise, Parker, and Hood counties. I'd like to see them help out some of these communities with some of this tax dollars they got, but we need to be proactive and work with them on that. But every dollar that comes through has to be approved, and every budget has to be approved. And I think we need to spend a little bit more time looking at our budgets and maybe sharpen our pencil a bit and see if we can squeeze a little rock out of that for each one of these precincts, because we all need more rock. You never can get enough.
Thank you. It's the taxpayers.
Being out on equipment and being out there with your crew is important, and I think having an extra hand out there, that's a great idea. But when I go out there and do that, who's taking care of the money? Who's taking care of the budget? Who's paying the bills? Who's setting up those grants? Who's researching for that money? I think you have to do both. I think you have to be able to get out on a crew and you have to work with them, but then you have to also turn around and be able to put your office hat on. You have to be able to look at that budget and forecast. You have to look at, okay, if I've got a $100,000 road project coming up and I have to cash flow this $80,000, then I've got to have all that money up front, and it's managing that money so that we can be out there on that road and doing those projects. If we don't have a balance of both of that, then we're not going to be able to do the projects to begin with. So being able to manage the financial side, looking at grants, looking at other forms of funds that we can receive into our county is, I think, equally as important as being out there and doing the manual labor side of it.
Okay. I've researched this with other commissioners here in other counties also. Commissioner spends about 20 hours a week office time. I'm oil field. If I get 4 hours of sleep a night, I'm in pretty good shape. So, you know, as far as allotting my time, I'm gonna be out there with this thing. And I'll tell you, and I'm not gonna worry about grants or anything. One thing, we don't have a budget that can stand 20% of your grant money. I mean, you got a 20-25% match on that money. Right now, we're doing good to get FEMA and this other grant going. So, and in the future, I don't know we'll have money if we keep our tax base down, which I'm sure not for raising taxes, but we've got the second cheapest tax base in the surrounding county here, and that's what we need to keep. And I think it's just going to take hard work to keep that tax base down and a lot of planning. As far as our other parts of the court system, the courthouse here, that's going to be coming to us for money. I know these are decided in budget meetings with all the commissioners, everything. If there's a certain office, I'm sure we'll go to the commissioner's court and make that decision. But I will be involved, and I will take it, and I will research those things. And one thing I will not do, I will not vote to fund an office that does not produce. I don't care whose it is. I just don't want to do that. We're taxpayers. If they ain't producing, we need to do something different.
Thank you.
So important.
I think as far as splitting up your time, it's going to have to be the team you have in place at the barn. They need to be responsible, and you can check on that. Set them with where their priorities, what they're supposed to be doing, their list of objectives for the day, the week, or whatever. and set them in motion and get out of their way. As far as the rest of allotting the money in my time throughout the rest of the county-wide budget and the delegation of those funds, I think it's gonna have to fall back on the priorities. And looking at the previous years and what's coming up into the future, as far as what they're gonna need extra money for, or is it gonna be a slack year where they're not gonna need as much money? Everybody's gonna, whenever they fill out a budget, they ask for more. Everybody does. That's the corporate world, that's the county world, that's the government world, that's just the way it is. However, you don't have the luxury of just having more to dole out to those people. So I think you just have to meet with them, discuss their priorities, and how much it's actually gonna mean to them. And then split the time that way as far as checking on your team, making sure your team's taking care of business, and dividing up the budget and the priorities that come into the county.
Thank you very much.
So we're gonna have to tighten our belt. Oil went down, our budget's at 7 million, we're probably gonna be at 5 million, we're gonna lose 2 million. So what are you gonna do with that? You gotta figure out. So you're gonna spend time looking at what's going on. I think all the commissioners are gonna have to look at it. Because our money's not gonna be as great. Oil went down, taxes go down. That's all I've been.
Thank